In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can create your own pregame routine as an athlete. Now, a pregame routine is so important because the mindset that you have going into a game is going to largely dictate how you perform throughout the game. If you're wanting to bounce back from mistakes better, well, it's a lot easier to bounce back from mistakes if you're in a better mindset to begin with. If you want to play more confidently, then you need to focus on how to generate that confidence going into the game. One of the mistakes that I see athletes make a lot is that they don't work to create the mindset that they want before the game starts. They try to be reactive when they are struggling during the game. But we want to be proactive with creating the mindset that you want going into a game, and that's what this pregame routine is going to help you with. Now, this pregame routine is broken up into two different parts. We have the night before phase, and then we have the day of phase, and that's going to be game day. Now, this night before phase, it can involve multiple days leading up to the game, but we're just going to focus and pretend like it's one day just for the sake of some simplicity. But if you play football, for example, and you play once a week, this night before phase could technically be from Monday night all the way through Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, depending on when you play, right? But the point is, we want to separate them into these two categories because we really want to work on generating this really good mindset the night before. We don't want to wait just till game day because we can start getting into a good mindset the night before the game even happens. Now, with the night before phase and the day of phase, we actually see pretty similar mental training tools between the two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over these mental training tools and I'm going to talk about, maybe which one would be better to do for the night before, like researching your opponent, like we're going to talk about. But all in all, you can choose which ones you want to apply to either the night before phase or the day of phase of your pregame routine. So the first tool is self-talk. Now, in this sense, self-talk is more about a self-talk routine because this is where you come up with a list of statements that you want to read to yourself, and then you reread them to yourself to start building the mindset that you want. Start to help yourself think in the way that you want to think for the game. And this is a great thing to do the night before and before the game actually begins. And something I always like to tell the athletes I'm working with in one-on-one coaching is that with a pregame routine where we repeat some self-talk, what you can do is you can have these thoughts that you want to have during the game fresh on your mind as the game begins. Another mental training tool is some breath work. This is where you're going to do some count breathing, to breathe in for a count of 5, out for a count of 10, for example, or you could do where you breathe in for a count of 4, out for 8. You could do some in for 4, out for 4, in for 5, out for 5. The rhythm doesn't matter as much as just simply the principle of take yourself some deep breaths, focus on the counting. The counting is going to help you keep your mind very simple, keep it centered, and that works to get you calm, relaxed, and also focused. Now, I had a baseball player I was working with who was struggling with the yips, and we implemented a pregame routine for him where he did this count breathing both the night before and the day of, and it really helped him with reducing his anxiety going into a game. Another mental training tool is some visualization. Visualization is where you are closing your eyes and just imagining yourself performing your skills. You can use visualization to help build confidence by visualizing yourself in a situation where you perform well and then you feel really confident about it. You can also use visualization to help if you're struggling a lot with pressure right now, because you can put yourself in a pressure-filled situation in the safety of your mind, and then you can imagine yourself performing well with it. And then a third kind of type of visualization is actually a visualization for relaxation, where you might visualize a completely relaxing scene, one that really doesn't have anything to do with your sport, but when you imagine it, it helps you get relaxed, and that might be something that's very helpful right before the game begins. The fourth mental training tool is going to be mindfulness, and specifically we're talking about mindfulness meditation. Think of this as a little bit more serious version of the breath work or the count breathing that I was talking about. Because with the mindfulness meditation, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and close your eyes and perform a meditation for about 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, just whatever the time frame is that you like. And with this meditation, all you do is, you focus on your breathing, you kind of observe your thinking, notice when you're starting to get distracted by a thought, bring your attention back onto your breath. This really helps you improve your focus, and it also helps you calm your mind going into a game. Another tool is remembering past successes. Now, if you're wanting to feel more confident going into a game, what do you think is going to be better? Having all the times you've made mistakes recently on your mind, or having all the times you've succeeded recently on your mind? If you have all the times you've succeeded recently on your mind, that's going to drastically increase your confidence and your self-belief going into a game. So what you can do is you can actually make a list of past successes you've had and you can read them over, or you can just simply remind yourself and think in your head about all the times you've been performing well recently. Another mental training tool is reviewing your strengths. This one's similar to the past successes and also the self-talk in that it's getting you thinking about the things that you do well as a way to help build that belief and that trust within yourself going into the game. Just like with the self-talk and the past successes, I encourage you to write them down, because if you can make the list of your strengths, it's really going to help you when it comes to just reading them over. Another mental training tool is performance objectives. So I use performance objectives a lot with athletes when we want to focus our attention more onto the process. If they're finding themselves thinking too much about the outcome of the game and that outcome is really driving maybe some fear or some anxiety, we want to turn attention onto the process and the controllable parts of the game. So for yourself, you can set some performance objectives that will help keep your focus very, very simple and process-oriented as you go into the game. The next tool is researching your opponent. Researching your opponent is a very, very interesting one, because I've worked with some athletes who we don't want to research opponents with them because it actually increases anxiety. Well, I've worked with other athletes who they love to research the opponent because it makes them feel calmer and more in control because they have a game plan in place. Now, you need to be very honest with yourself. Is researching opponent going to be helpful for you, or is it going to distract you? If you know that you're facing a really good opponent, are you going to be able to game plan for them, or are you going to be distracted and intimidated that they're so good? Now, with researching your opponent, this might be one that you really want to do the night before or the days leading up to the game, and then maybe you want to just quickly review it as you go into the game. And this ties into the next kind of mental training exercise, which is creating a game plan for yourself. You want a game plan that you can follow and you can stick to, but you also can adjust the game plan if you need to going into the game. And a game plan really helps because it can help you feel more in control, right? So that can help with some anxiety. And it can also help you feel like you are more prepared, which can help increase your confidence. Now, just like with researching your opponent, you probably want to create a game plan maybe days or the day before, and then just review it as you're getting ready to play. And then the last mental training tool I want to talk about is a pretty funny one, actually, and it's just talking to your teammates, right? Talking to your teammates to help yourself get your mind off of the game that's about to happen, especially if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety. What I've done in the description below is I've put a list of all of these mental training tools so you can review them, look over them, and then decide for yourself which are going to be the ones that I choose for my pregame routine. Now, one thing I'll say about your pregame routine is you don't want to overwhelm yourself with 5 or 6 different exercises. I listed off all of these tools and exercises so that you can choose from them, not so that you have to do all of them. You want to keep your pregame routine as simple as possible, because the important thing is that you're actually going to do it, and you're going to do it consistently. Because if we're thinking about how to perform consistently well, you need to be approaching games in a consistent mindset. And to approach games in a consistent mindset, you need to know how to get into that mindset on a consistent basis. So look over those mental training tools and those exercises, choose for yourself, and start putting into practice your own pregame routine. Now, if you get really anxious before games, a lot of these tools are going to help, but I also have some more specific tools that you can use pregame to help reduce anxiety. So what I've done right here is I've linked a video that goes into 6 different pregame exercises that you can use to reduce performance anxiety going into a game. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training.